I have a real bad habit of playing the same games over and over again. It does take an extra effort for me to try something new. One day while browsing the PS4 store, which again I absolutely despise, I came across something a little unusual. My Universe Cooking Star Restaurant. It had a pretty high rating and was recently released on the PS4 store. The game itself came out November 10th, so I figured why not, we'll go ahead and give this a try. When I was reading the download description, it seemed pretty straightforward. Okay, in this game we're going to make our own restaurant. Nice. We'll build the menu, build the staff, grow the business. These are all pretty cool concepts to me. I'm a huge fan of Kitchen Nightmares, Hotel Hell. I'm a little bit of a Gordon Ramsay buff myself. And more recently I'm a big fan of the movie Chef, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm a terrible cook, and I don't think I'll ever get any better. But in a video game format, even if it's in a little kiddie format, I think it's a safe arena for me to practice these kind of make-believe skills. So this is a casual gamer's review to My Universe Cooking Star Restaurant on the PS4. Up until now, I've never really been familiar with the game brand My Universe, but I guess there's a series out there. If I was to make a comparison, I would kind of call this the Fisher-Price brand of gaming. You can definitely tell that these games are made towards children. Which brings me to my first real pro. The game has a nice presentation, and the graphics work. Going through the restaurant for the first time, it was actually kind of a neat little experience, and I named the restaurant, naturally, Mad Respect Eats. And the game just kind of goes right into its operation. The actual operation of the restaurant is pretty simple. Customers arrive. You take them to a table. Customers give you an order. You cook their food. After the food is prepared, and we'll get to that in a second, you take it out to the customer, and after they leave, you bust the table. Again, pretty simple. The cooking itself is actually handled through a series of clever mini-games, which I'll detail here. The food preparation mini-games are actually pretty creative when I think about it, especially when I think about how it's been incorporated with the PS4 controller. We have a game for cutting, measuring, mixing, stove and oven operation, and even plating. The strength of your dish kind of depends on how accurate your button motions are. For instance, with cutting you need to be very coordinated with the lines, measuring uses the D-pad, mixing and stove cooking involve analog stick use, and then oven operation is just simply matching the buttons. It's pretty good for a kid to kind of learn that kind of coordination, so there's a little bit of educational value. The minigames that are presented remain consistent with the dish that's either been selected by the customer or yourself. It's always the same process whenever you do the same dish. As I played further into the game, I noticed that there was two basic experience trees, one more towards the restaurant operation side, and the other one more towards food preparation. For instance, the more customers I seated, took orders, and bussed tables, I gained points towards the restaurant. This is how you unlock additional chefs. For the food prep side, the more accurate I got with the food preparation, the more points I got towards the menu. This is how I unlocked additional items to cook. So yeah, at first glance, the game does have a lot of little charm. I was actually impressed with it for the first 20 minutes, half hour. Which now brings me to the cons. The first real gripe, there's just no customization. You can't really customize the restaurant, you can't customize the menu, you can't even really customize your tune all that much. And in a game where you're supposedly making your own restaurant, I need customization. It's just that simple. And since I'm not customizing the restaurant, it's not like I can walk around and admire my work. I just have to go back to cooking and seating customers, which makes the game just stupid repetitive. I suppose you could make an argument that it's the way it is in real life, but it also brings up a question. Throughout the game you realize you only have one person to bust tables, play host, cook food, be a waiter, but yet you can have 5 chefs. It just doesn't make any sense. And as far as not making sense, let's talk about these chefs for a second. Throughout the course of the game, you get multiple chefs as you build the restaurant. You have one that is more American style, one that is more Italian, one that does Indian dishes, which is actually kind of interesting, and then you have the Japanese sushi guy, and I think you get like one other. But Gordon Ramsay, Chef Ramsay, would never tolerate something like that. It is way too many different directions for a single restaurant, and I tend to agree with him. And again, this is another opportunity where I wish I could just choose the menu and build my own theme for a restaurant. I'll give this restaurant credit though. It must have the most efficient supply chain and maintenance ever. For instance, you never have to reorder supplies, all the ingredients are cutting edge fresh, you never have to clean out a refrigerator, you don't ever even have to clean out a toilet. Maybe that's where all the other staff went while you're busting all the tables. I know I'm getting a little nitpicky with these cons, and I apologize, to a degree, but I just have certain expectations with a game like this. These next three cons are really nitpicky too. The first of which is there's no cash flow. At no time during the game do you ever know if your restaurant is profitable. I want to know at the end of the day if I'm in the green or the red. That's just where I come out with that. Second, with this game in this day and age, I expect more graphically. You don't even get to see your restaurant in a 360 presentation. You can't rotate a camera, and that really bothers me. And then finally, just one save slot. This is a problem, especially if you have multiple kids in the same house. They all want to start their own restaurant, and you run a huge risk of saving over data. You can bypass this through the use of multiple profiles, but it's still a problem in my eyes. I've already made a few cons here, but I feel like just cutting to the chase and getting down to my overall assessment. Is this worth the $30 plus I paid? No, it isn't. When I have a game where I'm expecting to make my own restaurant, I want to customize the heck out of this thing. There are just way too many unanswered desires in this game that just never came to light. Too many missed opportunities. It has no depth, no replay value. The ending sucks, and yes, there is a condition in which you can get a ending screen, and it's just not worth it. A couple kids may like playing this game, but it's limited value at best. I guess I can go ahead and give this a 1 thumbs up as opposed to a 0 thumbs up based on that fact alone. But take note, I did have one kid in this household that set it down after 15 minutes of boredom. That is not a good sign. I guess the way I feel about it, when it comes to not being worth that $30, I think about phone apps, and this game feels like a glorified phone app that's been packaged like a real standalone game. This feels like something I would download on an iPhone for like $5.99, but not pay full price or even half price for something like this. Maybe my expectations were too high. That is possible. And I'm not knocking anybody that may like this game, but it just wasn't worth it in my mind. And even though the initial presentation was pretty cool, I'll admit it was pretty cool, it just doesn't speak to me in the end. And I find myself asking, what the heck did I download this for? That's just my honest opinion, and there's no harm in that. Thank you for watching this casual review of My Universe Cooking Star Restaurant. Remember, it is a casual review because I'm a casual player. In the meantime, this is Mad Marty reminding you to do what's responsible, avoid what's irresponsible, make the most of what you got, and get respect. Mad respect. Take care and see you next time.